In this video, we'll explain how to navigate around the drawings. We'll look at the various zoom options available. Layers are also a key part in drawing creation. They can be used to separate out different entities or to show different options or types of service or equipment. This is a brief introduction for previous users of 2D CAD so that they can see the options in the new interface, and as an initial guide for new users so they can practice before attending a course. The most direct way of navigating a drawing is with the middle mouse wheel. Pressing down and dragging with the mouse will allow you to pan around the drawing. Scrolling with the wheel will zoom in and out. The last option with the middle mouse button is to double click it, and DraftSight will zoom to fit, which means the entire drawing is visible on screen. This may well be all that you need to get your work completed, but it is not the only way. If we go to the View tab of the ribbon, we can see more options. The main command is Zoom. We can use Zoom Window to focus quickly on a specific area. Simply click the command, then click on either side of the area that you are interested in. Take time to familiarise yourself with the other options that you see. You can also type in the command, and if you do so, you'll see the various options listed in the command window. Here I will use the Selected option, or SE. I'll then select an entity, and it will make it so that fills my screen. Beside the zoom tools, we can see the rebuild function, which allows us to rebuild or redraw or regenerate the data on screen after some editing work has taken place. The View section that is next is really only meant for three-dimensional data, although it can be used to point out where maybe certain items are not drawn on that flat zero plane of a system. It's something I've seen in the past on some factory layouts. But here everything looks fine. Simply switch back to the top view and we're good to go. View tiles allow us to separate the working space into multiple sections. So this can be used if you're trying to navigate between different areas or trying to do some work on different areas. Maybe you're trying to sort of copy what's going on. We can then manipulate between the two to get our work done. So we can simply switch back to a single tile when we're finished here. The other options for coordinates on this tab are described in detail on the DraftSight Essentials training course for those that want to know more. For previous users of 2D CAD, you should be familiar with this sort of thing, moving the coordinate system around to aid with your drafting and sketching and so on. So having looked at the navigation of our drawing, we're now going to turn to look at layers. Layers are a critical part of drawings. They allow us to separate objects in the design by assigning them to specific layers. So with this architectural drawing, we can see that there are a number of layers involved. And we can turn layers on and off just by clicking on the green circle. It will then turn grey, and objects in that layer will be hidden. We can also, if we wish, instead of hiding layers, you can freeze layers. And doing that, the little blue droplet will turn to a little ice crystal, so we can tell whether we have frozen that layer off or allowed it to remain on. If we're concerned about amending a layer that we don't want to amend, then we can lock it using the padlock. Now I will not be able to manipulate anything on those layers. I get a little padlock if I try and hover over as if to select anything. Okay, so let's have a look at this other little example, a little bit of a, it's a mold tool. And we want to make use of some layers there. We can see we've got some for dimensions, some for hidden detail. Okay. Maybe we want another one here. So I want the hatching to appear on a different layer. Okay, so we go into the layer manager. When in there, we can go and add a new layer. So we simply have to give it a name. Hopefully something useful. Okay, we can then decide what color we're going to have that layer. I'm going to make it blue. If you want to choose a specific line style or line weight and so on. So once we're happy with our selections, we can hit OK. And then if I go and select one of those objects, so that bit of hatching there, I can choose to move it to a different layer just by using the drop-down list there. So it's now on the hatch layer. You see it's now turned blue. If I want to move all my hatching onto that layer, I could use the properties panel here. So let's go into the properties. I can find all my hatching and assign it all to the same hatch layer. And you can see it's now all turned blue. So this concludes this section, looking at layers and the navigation tools to get around your drawings. So take time to familiarize yourself with these tools.